Wisconsin's Lieutenant Governor Sara Rodriguez is on the phone. Lieutenant Governor, thank you so much for taking time for us on Civic Media on what I'm sure is a busy evening for you.
Thank you so much for having me. I appreciate it.
Our pleasure, Lieutenant Governor. Just your thoughts tonight on. I'm sure you had a hand in putting this together, or at least we're aware of it. You work hand in hand with the governor, and part of your job, I know, is to go out across the state of Wisconsin, like you've done so many times, and for lack of a better term, sell this plan. What were your takeaways tonight in what Governor Tony Evers had to say?
Well, I think what Governor Evers had from our administration were really bold proposals that are going to help everyday Wisconsinites, whether that's investing in our public school systems, whether that's reducing the cost for health care. These are all things that are going to affect people's pocketbooks. And I know that if I'm hearing about it all across the state, that means my Republican counterparts are hearing about it all across the state. This is something we can agree upon and make sure that we are taking care of Wisconsinites here at home.
A couple of the things, the highlights that I got out of this tonight. One of them is something we've heard actually, Donald Trump talk about on at least on the campaign stump, not so much since he's become president again, but this no tip on taxes. Governor Evers proposing a state version of that tonight.
Yeah. So he was going to take good ideas wherever they come from, and that was one of his proposals: is to have no tax on tips here in Wisconsin, putting more money back in people's pockets. And we're honestly worried about the tariffs that Trump is proposing, that it's going to affect our farmers here pretty significantly. And so, trying to make sure we are proactive in terms of helping our farmers, that the prices, we do not want prices to go up for Wisconsinites, and that's what those Trump tariffs are going to do.
You've come on our show, noon to two a few times. We always appreciate you making time for us. One of the things I've been so impressed with you, Lieutenant Governor Rodriguez, is that you have roots in Southwest Wisconsin, where I'm from. Grandparents were dairy farmers there. You're a great storyteller. And while I thought the governor had a lot of meat on the bone in terms of proposals tonight, I just wish you would do more what you do, which is tell stories to make these proposals that are pretty technical more relatable to Wisconsinites.
I think the governor did a fantastic job today. I really want to make sure we are reiterating how much that this is going to save Wisconsinites money. We know that people are struggling to be able to pay their bills, whether it's childcare. Heck, I've got two kids myself. They're a little older now. They don't need childcare anymore. They're 15 and 18. But I remember when they were little, how difficult that was to make sure that I could afford that in my budget. It was a huge expense to have two little ones. They're only 2.5 years apart, so two of them in childcare at the same time, and trying to make our budget stretch to make that work. I know that families are struggling right now to be able to do that, which is why I was really happy that the governor has proposed in his budget dollars to be able to offset those costs for childcare in Wisconsin.
I don't expect a comment on this. I'll move on to the next question, but I'll simply say back in the old days, the State of the Union address, the president didn't have to deliver it. Somebody had to go up to Congress to deliver it. I think he'd be a good candidate to deliver the next State of the State, but I'll move on. One of the things I thought were one of the issues that was really, really that could relate to Wisconsinites across the entire state, across a political spectrum, was this extension of postpartum Badger care coverage. Governor Evers saying tonight, only Wisconsin and Arkansas are the only two states that don't have it.
I mean, that's I'm a nurse myself, you know that, and it's honestly shameful that there are only two states in the entire country that have not expanded coverage for postpartum women. If we care about women, if we care about babies, we know that if we extend that coverage, they're going to have less infant mortality, less maternal mortality. They're going to be healthier. And I just think that's a no-brainer to be able to pass that. We know that there's broad bipartisan support within the Assembly and the Senate to pass that. So let's just get it done. Let's go ahead and extend that coverage to postpartum women.
Just a couple more questions on your busy. Lieutenant Governor Sara Rodriguez joining us via phone after Governor Tony Evers' biennial budget address. Two things. Number one, we hear a lot about this $4 billion, a little over $4 billion dollar surplus. Robin Voss, Devin LeMahieu, Republicans in the legislature are saying that money is a no-go. You can't use it because we want to basically double down on this tax cut from last time around. Can you help us understand where you and Governor Evers are at? If I heard him right, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's suggesting keeping about $500 million or $500 million set aside in the rainy day fund, and then using the rest of that surplus on some of the programs he outlined tonight. Is that accurate, or do I have that wrong, Lieutenant Governor?
So yeah, he is asking to save about $500 million in terms of our surplus from our budget. And he is agreeing with the Republicans that he would like to also propose a tax cut for Wisconsinites. But the difference between those two proposals is that the governor really wants to make sure we are focusing on middle class, everyday Wisconsinites. And Republicans oftentimes make sure that their tax cuts only really affect the quite wealthy who do not need additional dollars in their pockets. They're doing all right in this economy. And so let's make sure that we put dollars in the pockets of people who need it.
Final question, Lieutenant Governor Rodriguez, and again, we appreciate you joining us. Speaker Voss has said this budget was already dead on arrival, to use his phrase, not mine. What is it going to take for Republicans in the legislature to come to a pragmatic solution on behalf of Wisconsin taxpayers to work with you and Governor Evers to get a budget passed that can actually help Wisconsinites?
So when I travel all across the state in Wisconsin, what I hear from people is they are exhausted with the partisanship. They want us to work together. And if I'm hearing, whether it's in rural areas, whether it's in urban areas, suburban areas, that people need relief in housing, in food costs, in healthcare costs. And so I know the Republicans in the Assembly and the Senate are hearing that as well. So they need to come to the table as partners and put together a budget that we can all be proud of. And so let's make sure we're putting dollars in the pockets of Wisconsinites. Let's make sure we're taking care of people here, because we know that these Trump tariffs are going to be increasing costs. So how can we provide some relief at the state level?
Yeah, I wish the governor would have put that. I thought he kind of buried the lead. I thought that was a great line when Governor Evers said, "We prepared for the worst because of the Trump tariffs." I think he should have led with that. But, hey, who am I to say? I'm just a radio host. Lieutenant Governor Rodriguez, is there anything I haven't asked you tonight that you believe that the Wisconsinites across this state should know about the biennial budget address tonight?
Well, look at it. The governor has put out pieces. You've heard the address. Contact your representatives, contact your senator, contact your representative. Make sure that they know that you support these pieces in the budget. Make sure that you know that you expect them to work together to make sure we can get a budget across the table. And so that is the one thing that I would say is make sure you're contacting your local representatives and your senators and telling them what's your priority.
Lieutenant Governor Sara Rodriguez, we thank you so very much for making time for us this evening. Have a great night, and we will talk to you soon on our show. And, of course, you're always welcome to come back here on Civic Media. Thank you so much, Lieutenant Governor.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Our pleasure. Lieutenant Governor Sara Rodriguez.